Today's session we are going to talk about business trends and growth opportunities. I'm going to keep my remarks really brief because we have three amazing individuals here who have, in their real life, in practice, they have accomplished a whole lot. Being entrepreneurs, being successful executives, being business tycoons. I think you are better served listening to them. So let me give you just a few opening remarks. The session is about growth and entrepreneurship and business trends. India has enormous opportunities, enormous potential, and India has done very well, especially in recent few years, a decade or two.
And how the vending value?
But going forward, as economists, we always think, what's the growth and outcome of? In order to grow, whether it is in family, or it is in a business, or a nation, several things have to come together. It's a combination of resources, physical capital, financial capital, then ideas. People have to have ideas. And more often than not, those ideas are the result of education. Not always, but more often than not. Then there is risk taking. You have to take risks. We always say the cliches like there is no shame in failure and whatever. But risk taking has to be there. Some of that risk taking comes from those who have wealth. So the aggregate at the national level, it matters how well off you are in terms of at an aggregate level how much risk you might be taking. And then finally, you need infrastructure, both soft and hard infrastructure. Economic development or progress, it's much like, think about a surgery or a medical operation that takes place. When there is a surgery taking place, there is a surgeon, there are some nurses, there are some surgical instruments, and there is operating theater, and there is anesthesia. You cannot say that, well, I don't have the surgeon, but I have a lot of anesthesia, well, I will perform the surgery. No, it doesn't work that way, right? You need all of these, what economists say, factors of production in sort of reasonable proportion for a successful outcome. So growth and opportunities also, they require, as I said, resources, ideas, risk-taking, and infrastructure. And it's the last one where the government can play the biggest role in terms of the infrastructure. Be it the biggest infrastructure, and the previous session, some or all of you who were here might have heard, ease of doing business, and which is the flip side of it is called regulation. You want some regulation, but you don't want so much. Good thing can be bad. You want if a good thing can be bad type of regulation either. So you want it in moderate amount. You want law enforcement. You want infrastructure by way of supply of power, roads, water supply. Those are elements that the government can provide. And while that gets provided, capital gets provided, and people can have ideas and risk-taking, and that leads to economic progress. So how does that's a general statement, almost a professor speaking out of a textbook, right? So I realize that. So, but that said, when you focus on India, we have advanced a whole lot. There's no question that Bharat has advanced a whole lot. Still, resources are limited. when you think about 1.3 billion population, resources are limited. So whatever resources there are, I think India must make itself far more attractive to foreign capital so that we complement our own resources with resources from abroad. We cannot be cagey about inviting foreign capital. So that's one. Second, we have to think in terms of if resources are limited, can we sprinkle them across the board or can we put them in pockets of investment and make it attractive either certain sectors or certain regions so that we leverage those resources to a greater extent. Now politically it's not an easy thing, so it's easier said than actually done, especially in a democracy. It's because invariably the question comes, are you showing favoritism? But nonetheless, I think the political acumen is needed to recognize that there might be some natural advantages of certain regions or education as a basis for some natural advantage that certain groups of individuals might have. Whatever it is, but we have to come to grasp with the idea that resources are limited and sprinkling them evenly across the whole country is not going to produce the kind of benefit that you would ideally like to reap from making somewhat targeted investments either in sectors or geographic regions or whichever way. As I said, I don't envy the political challenge that is involved in that, but I just say that it is a necessity. With that in mind, those opening remarks, I want to turn it over to Mukesh, and he himself has been an extraordinarily successful entrepreneur, and he is also a philanthropist. Besides, he is from BITS, fellow alumnus, so what can be better than that, right? And he's going to talk about what are some specific opportunities, especially that originate in technology, which hopefully would be the savior for not just India but the entire world. And what are some of the opportunities that would create some products or some innovations or some services that would be transformative for a nation like India, but as I said, broader humanity. After that, we would have the benefit of listening to Dr. Mohandas Pai, and he is going to give a little bit of a macro view of the opportunities. And finally, we have Nikhil Nanda, who also is a very successful entrepreneur from New Delhi, and he will talk about the opportunities from his vantage point as he sees from his actual activity in the business world. With that, let me turn it over to Mukesh.
Thanks for the kind introduction, Professor Kothari, and I definitely want to take time to thank Dr. Raki and the organizers of the conference, Dr. Abhay Asthana and Raju Reddy and Swami Vivekananji Maharaj and many, many more. Most importantly, literally hundreds of volunteers who have spent months, days, nights, weekends, while holding full-time jobs to make this conference successful. So a round of applause for them. I'm truly grateful that this was organized and spent so much time. We are just benefiting from this. So thank you so much again. Some of you are probably looking at my picture and saying, I'm not the same, am I the impersonator? See, this was the last good picture I had 15 years ago. So while all of us seek change, that's one we don't. So with that, my kids don't recognize me with that picture, so. Just click. So I want to talk about where are we today. We've come a long way in the last 70 years from where we started, but we would have done a lot better. And we need to do a lot better. We can always talk about all the good things that have happened, but this is also where we are today. And I want to put that in context that our population is about 1.3 billion. Our GDP is about a quarter of China with a comparable population. And you can see the rest of the numbers. And only other thing I'll say is that, when if you look at the numbers of that, we still have ways to go, and I'm saying related to poverty, for example, related to people living below poverty line and near poverty line. And some of these are fictional boundaries these bureaucrats and economists create. You know that it's a 4,000 rupees a month for a family of 5, they're considered poor, otherwise you are not poor. So my wish is that any bureaucrat or economist who is responsible for making the decision should be made to live 3 months, each month on 4,000 rupees a month with a family of 5, and with no health care, and you got to pay the rent, you got to go and work full time somewhere, the whole family to make a living, 800 rupees a month. And then one will see what the numbers will end up. My hunch is the number will end up probably more at over 15,000. And that actually will make it more like 60 or 70% of the country's population, if not more. So while we feel good about fudging the numbers, and we're all living in comfortable environments, the reality is somewhat less sanguine as you can hear. So what I want to talk about is, this is where we are today, and where is it that we what do we need to do basically to get to the next stage? So the key is we talk about consumer economy, and we talk about how we are growing and the average growth rate and so forth. But instead of just being a consumer economy and a growth that's driven by the consumers what they consume, we really should be creators and consumers. As long as we stay as consumers only, economy is going to go slow. If we create, we produce, and then consume, it will be a different story. In fact, if you think about if we strictly stay as consumers, we will never basically grow that much. Unfortunately, if you look at our policies, economic policies for the last 60, 70 years, the change has come basically in the last 3-4 years. Most of the policies were targeted towards top 10%. And that's the reality. Whether you look at education, look at economics, look at anything else. And what we need to do as this rapid growth is envisioned and the policies are visualized and entrepreneurs and everybody else do their job, that the growth must be symmetric. The bottom has to rise with the top. It's unfathomable that top 10% can keep going up and the wage disparity keeps going higher and higher. And that's what makes the country weaker, not stronger. Can you imagine a truck whose 2 front wheels were fully aired and the back 2 wheels were nearly flat? How fast do you think that would go? That's the problem. 60-70% of the population and their contribution to the GDP is almost insignificant compared to the top 20 or 30%. That's where it grows to bring the bottom line. So I'll talk about specifics on what do we need to do. So, in the history, if you look back, go back 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 5,000 years, or 100 years, no country has ever succeeded in a meaningful transformation without basing themselves on science and technology. Whether it's Babur in 13th century coming up with cannons and we had swords, or British when they came in with navigation tools, or radar in World War II, and list is long and on and so forth. There's no alternative to science and technology. That's the only way out of the situation where we are. And even when we were, as a Hindu society or Indian society, were at the top of the game, we actually were. We were the one who invented trigonometry, we invented calculus, we computed the distance to the moon, we computed the speed of light. We were inventing. And that somehow slipped away from us. So if you look at the technology, there are frontiers of technology which are very strategic, and something which you don't look at top-down, bottom-up, but you look at it with the new inflection. If you look at these four things, those are the primary things where there's a lot of focus going on. The first three, in fact, they're all strategic in nature. First three of them, in fact, Chinese government have declared them to be their strategic initiative for next 5-7 years. They're spending hundreds of billions of dollars, mind you, hundreds of billions of dollars in the top three spaces. What do you think we are spending on it? And what we sow is what we get at the back end. So I don't mean to be pessimistic here, I'm just trying to put the context so that we all understand where we are and where we need to be, so that our effort is commensurate with what's expected to deliver. That's my intent. I mean, if you think about, is there any way to grow without having a homegrown R&D base? I think we are dreaming. I really believe it, because there is no way that we can grow by keep importing. I was giving an example this morning. Does anyone here think that Brahmastra actually could have been borrowed from somebody? All of you are well, versed with Hindu philosophy. Do you think it could have been purchased? Anyone here? Anybody selling it? The point I'm making is that it had to be earned. Stuff and tapasya, it's an R&D, what you got to do to make yourself stronger, and that homegrown R&D has to exist. There is no alternative to it. This whole idea somehow we can just consuming without actually coming up with our own solutions is a non-starter from day one. So what do we need to do is, in terms of the government side, there's government involved and there are entrepreneurs and everybody else involved. But even on the government side, there must be policies which basically encourages that homegrown R&D. Our biggest issue is that everybody is working in silos, whether it's academia, it's research labs, or it's industry. And they're all operating without inter-exchanging ideas. And it's a serious problem because there are a lot of pronouncements. Every time I visit the country 3-4 times a year, you hear about, oh, we are doing this, we are doing that, we are doing it. If you dig deeper, you will see a very different story. I mean, today, I just read, I think last week or somewhere, we are actually ordering machine guns, India is ordering machine guns from Russia. Are we not competent enough to design our own machine guns? I mean, this is the basics. Think about it. I mean, we talk about all kinds of things and how good we are, but if we cannot do the basics, let's start at the bottom and work our way up. That's the point I'm trying to make. When we talk about, for example, you're seeing here about manufacturing, and we're saying, oh, every time we sign a big defense contract, 30% is manufactured in India. You know what is manufactured is? Big assemblies are imported, they're put together. What we need to know, there's a difference between a car mechanic and a designer. When you look at your iPhones, it says designed in the USA, it's made in China, 6% of the money goes to Chinese, 94% comes to Apple, that's why they're a $1 trillion company. Homegrown R&D is the mothership, and there's no alternative to it. And all these recommendations I put up there basically encourages to get good high quality faculty who gets paid well, for example, by having 1% of the money go towards it, is going to come a long way. I made these as part of the recommendations when I was a member of the Innovation Committee that the government of India had set up 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. Unfortunately, none of these recommendations have been implemented. There's no sense of urgency per se in bureaucracy. I mean, it's caught in the molasses of an ocean of molasses, aka bureaucracy. So we're kind of stuck, so it's nothing new what I'm here talking about. We've talked about it for some time, but I guess bureaucracy has to move at their own pace. So what I want to talk about next is the bottom-up part of it. One of the things, so this is where the specific piece of it comes in. Just imagine, so there are a lot of problems we as a country have at the bottom up, but we don't have a solution for that. What I'm talking about is when you go, so there's a difference between, so there's electrification going on and 100% of the places today have electrification. But see, there's a catch there. 100% of the villages have electrical wiring connected to them. In UP, for example, 60% of the households have actually electrical connection going to their home. And lastly, and most importantly, does electricity flow through that cable? And for how long? Those are important questions to be asked and answered. But if there is a way, I think I went fast here. If there is a way, you could come up with a battery which could basically effectively store the electricity in a way that you can basically get it at the same price as you get it at the grid. What cell phones did to landline is what I'm talking about in the first one, a battery could do to electrical grid. The advantage is now rural areas can have electricity 24/7, 365 days a year. You don't have to, what that means, the industrialization can become distributed and can move actually into villages and so forth. And then you can look at the rest of the thing. All of them are connected to bringing the bottom up, most of them, to enable the country to move forward. If you look at, I'll give you a few seconds to read this. Just basic idea, every time somebody tries out the milk, everybody complains about why the quality of milk is so poor. Well, can't we have a test which actually within 2 rupees, 4 rupees actually test things? But we don't. Again, I don't want to talk about going to the moon. I want to talk about detecting quality of the milk in 2 rupees by an end user. Simple idea. Could we execute that? Could we test the fake medication? I'm reading reports that 40 to 80% of the medications are fake. How about top 20 medications only? You cannot do it for all of them. Just top 20 medications, diabetes, blood pressure, just I as a consumer should be able to test it. Wouldn't it be nice to have at least affect these basic problems? How about pesticides? Could we cut down the usage? And these are not figment of my imagination. I've spent a lot of time on it. Most of these are actually doable in 3 months to 3 years. So what I'm talking about, these are basic problems we haven't solved so far. And if you think about it, affordable innovation is really the answer. So innovation exists in the United States and in other places. Affordable innovation doesn't exist. And where we need to apply our mind is to how do we get to affordable innovation. Because what that will do with each of these projects, if you create a unique product, build it in India, and it makes a huge difference. So that's what I'm talking about. So those are some of the key thoughts, as you can see, that the small companies and small groups can create a lot of difference, whether it's Rice Brothers or Thomas Edison or anyone else. They actually did a phenomenal job. If you look at even Google and Apple and Facebook, they were started by individuals, and neither one of them, not Google, but Apple and Microsoft, they didn't even have a college degree. So anyone can contribute and innovate. There's no monopoly on virtues. I don't think it should matter whose son you are, whose father you had, or the family, or the caste, or the religion. I think everybody should has a fundamental brain and desire to invent, to innovate, and solve their own problems. And I think we have been caught into the wrong direction there. The last piece, given I'm so short of time, I'll tell you, we are at crossroads. And we are at crossroads because if we stay the course we are on, Chinese economy in 10 years will be $28 trillion. We will be at 6. The absolute number gap we can compute is so high that we would have no choice but be subservient to our next door neighbor. Is 1,000 years or a few hundred years enough of subservience at this point? I mean, does anyone think we need more? But that's the reality. So people may like to lead you to believe, but if we stay the course, or what I'm saying, they stay the course and we stay the course where we are, that's where we will be. Now we have a choice. I mean, we don't need an astrologer to tell us which direction to take at this point or what time to start. The time was yesterday and the direction is clear. I think we just have to take it. So we have a choice. We can either sleepwalk through history or we shape the history. Choice is ours. I personally choose to shape the history. Sleepwalking, I'll tell you, if we sleepwalk at this time, at this critical juncture, history will never forgive us. We will be condemned by generations to come because this is an opportunity. If we miss, the gap will be so wide, and I guess unless we are conditioned to be subservient, this will be disaster. So I urge you to please think about it, talk to your friends, spread the message. I want to bow my head to Swami Vivekananda, who inspired me, showed the way. But at the end of the day, we got to take the body. So thank you so much for your time.
Folks, it's good to be here, and I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. To understand Bharat, we need to know what Bharat is. So let me give you a picture of where we are today in economic terms. Tech entrepreneurs are reshaping India. Our young entrepreneurs are making a new country, and I'm going to show you how. 1820, India, China made up 45% of world GDP. We will be ready to take our place among the top 5 economies in nominal terms by 2030, and we are going on the right path. Look at this. Look at this data. We are a $2.6 trillion economy. PPP 10.3, the third largest in the world. Population is growing at only 1.1%. We are close to replacement rate. Fertility is 2.2. 2.1 is replacement. The whole of South India is 1.8. West Bengal is 1.7. Punjab is 1.6. It's only Bihar, UP, and Rajasthan, the middle belt, which is growing fast. Bihar is 3.2, UP is 2.8, and Rajasthan is 2.4. But India's fertility is coming down to replacement in a dramatic manner, and South India is already below replacement rate. So our challenge in future in the South will be an aging society. But look at this data. The data is indeed impressive. What have we done in the last? What have we done in the last 28 years? But in 1991 and 2018, our GDP grew from 275 billion to 2.6 trillion. We grew at 8.7% a year, every year, for 27 years. China grew at 9.5%. And China grew faster than India because in 1949, Mao said, women hold up half of heaven. And he empowered China's women, he educated them. Nehru didn't educate our women. Women participation in the workforce today is just 24%. And because we didn't take care of women, didn't empower them, didn't educate them, their participation in the workforce is less. And if you ignore 50% of the population, you won't grow. But we are still grown 8.7%. This is the growth rate over the last 10 years. I won't go on this. We are 13, 14 years behind China. China is about $13.3 trillion. We are 14 years behind China. We opened up in 1991, China opened up in 1978. So let me come back for a slide because I want to show. Okay. Now look at this slide. This slide says it all. By 2021, there will be an epochal event where the emerging markets will have a higher share in world GDP than the developed markets. It's a reversal of 200 years. From the dawn of history till 1820, India and China made up a large part of the world's economy. When the Industrial Revolution took off, we were colonized and we are not together. We missed the technology wave, and now in 2021, the world is going to see a very dramatic reversal. This chart chases all. What was Asia's GDP in 1700? What it will be in 2050? Now we are at the inflection point in global history. Compare Bharat and China. I'm sorry about India and Bharat, I get confused with the same. Bharat and China. We should compare ourselves only China, no other country. Singapore is 5 million people, less than Bangalore. Finland is 3 million. America is 315 million. No country has a challenge of managing 1.3 billion people except China. So let's compare us with China. You see the world ranking where India comes low. Ignore it because those countries have not faced the challenges of India. We want them to come and manage a country of 1.3 billion people and then come and preach to us what to do. The world rankings have to be seen in a context. If you want to rank, the 29 states of India should be ranked along with those countries. UP is 200 million people, the 5th largest country in the world. So look at this, China is 13.3 trillion, India is 2.6 trillion, and China's population is just 0.39. So if you look at what China has done, we understand the scope for our growth. Our fiscal situation is getting better, so we can invest more. The last 4 years, subsidies to GDP has come down from 2.43% to 1.86%. This is very good news because we have to fix the fiscal situation for the government. DBT has enabled the transfer of 4.39 lakh crores in 4 years directly to people. DBT has saved 90,000 crores in 4 years. And now we're going to have a medical insurance program to cover 100 million families. 100 million families is 500 million people. The population in the US is 315 million. It's going to be the largest medical insurance program in the world. Is it going to work? It's going to take time, but it's going to work. And it's going to transform health for everybody. Now, look at this slide because we need to know this. Second largest producer of steel. Second largest producer of cement. Largest producer of two-wheelers. 5th largest producer of four-wheelers. Second largest construction industry. 5th largest IT industry. Installed power, the 5th largest. Wireless phone, 2nd largest. You know this? It's a very large industrial economy. And look at it here. In coal, 2nd largest in the world. 730 million tons. Not a good news. We don't want to burn coal. Iron ore, 4th largest in the world. Aviation, 3rd largest in the world. Railways, 4th largest in the world. Roadways, 3rd largest. Ports, we are among the top 7. Electricity, 3rd largest consumer. We are the 4th largest installed base, 3rd largest consumer. Textiles, number 2. China is the big beast, India is next there. But our pricing is low, so you don't see it in GDP numbers. And look at this. In terms of food grain, 277 million tons of food is produced every year. Now it's 283. Second largest in the world, we have 60 million tons in stock. We give away free food to 65% of our population. You get 5 rupees of rice per 1 rupee each. The largest food program in the world. So we can tackle hunger. Yes, in implementation there's some challenges. Largest milk produced in the world, 169 million tons. Largest cotton produced in the world, 37 million bales. Second largest horticulture, fruits and vegetables, 307 million tons. Largest sugar this year, 36 million tons. The figure has gone up. Spices, the largest. Cropland, we're the largest cropland in the world. More than the US, more than China. But our productivity is half of China. That's the problem. It's increased productivity. Livestock, 512 million bovines. They walk in the street, their fundamental rights, they're protected by the courts, except some people carry them away and kill them, and that's very sad. Now look at this. Our market cap in the stock market is 2.27 trillion. We are among the top 6 in the world and is improving pretty fast. FDI flows are coming in. Mutual funds, they've gone up from 7.61 lakh crores to 24 lakh crores in 5 years with $350 billion. If FBI doesn't come to India, markets are not going to shake because we have local money coming in. It's a fantastic development in the Indian financial markets which we should applaud. We have 29 years. And we're going to be the youngest population in the world, even by 2100. Look at this, by 2100, we'll have the largest percentage population in the working age group. We have a very large infrastructure in higher education, 900 universities, 49,000 colleges, about 34 million people in college, 34 million, but only 25% of youngsters 18 to 23 go to college. By 2030, we'll have 75 million people in college. Every year we graduate 8 million, 18 lakh young people. Yes, they're not good. 20% are good. 20% of 80 lakhs is how much? 16 lakhs. 16 lakhs, 1.6 million people. 1.6 million good graduates going out is pretty good. We have 800,000 engineers coming out, 200,000 of workers. The parents are okay. They can drive Ola and Uber, but they're okay. But you must understand, the numbers are very large and staggering. Well, our investment is 30% of GDP, should go up. Our savings are 28%. We require 2% foreign capital to come in, not too much, only 2%. Consumption is 70% of GDP, 30% is investment, and that shows a stable economy. Because China, investment is 45% of GDP, that means they're over-investing. But we're under-investing in infrastructure. We invest 4.7%, need 6.5. China invests 8.7, needs 6.5. Now look at the difference between China and India. We have not invested in the manufacturing because of bad government policies. Because for defense, people want bribes in Delhi. Because you want bribes, you don't allow us to manufacture those machine guns. Because it's a policy. They write the specs to prove somebody else. And for the last 30 years, DRDO, a government organization, gets all the defense funds for research. And they took 30 years to make a tank. They got the contracts of labor to build the tank, they've done it in 10 years, maybe 5 years. But the government does it because of the socialistic policy of NATO, which said they must have the commanding heights. And that is what is doing India. So the startup ecosystem will change India. We have 40,000 startups today. They created $100 billion of value. The third largest ecosystem in terms of startups and innovation in the world. Now we are concentrated in Bangalore, Delhi, and Mumbai. But it's coming up in Jaipur, it's coming up in Calcutta. Calcutta was the biggest city east of London. What's happened to Calcutta? 30 years of Marxist rule, boom. Infiltration from Bangladesh, boom. 2 generations of Calcutta's youngsters have come to Bangalore. Bangalore has 150,000 techies from Bengal, more than Calcutta, 2 times Calcutta. They're all coming down because of bad rule. It's got nothing to do with anything, it's got to do with an ideology which destroyed India. We have a fabulous IT service industry. The left calls us cyber coolies, but we created the largest software service export industry in the world. $122 billion of export, $200 billion of street value. 60% of world software outsourced comes to India. And of the top 10 software service companies by market value, 5 are Indian. Of the top 5, 3 are Indian. Of the 2 million employees in the top 10, 1.5 million are Indians. And we have 4.25 million people working in the software and IT BPO industry. America has 6 million software people, 1 million are Indians. Out of 4.5 million in India, 2 million work for American companies. Out of 8 million working for American companies, 3 million are Indians. You got to tell Uncle Trump, we are doing something for you, we're making you complicate. The people accuse us, you don't have innovation, you don't have this, yes, but where did we start from? We started from zero. And we done so much. We must celebrate the fact we did so much. We have miles to go. But I want to see everybody else come from outside and tell us and run the country and do what we did. And in India, the left reduces, they call us cyber coolies. We're all coolies. But we built this industry. None of those people who have built any industry like this provided this kind of jobs anywhere in the world. And this industry only gets 4% of its revenues from India. 4% of India, $122 billion of exports to the best companies in the world, and a lot of them are run on what we do, and we are cyber coolies. The coolie is a bad word. But startups are going, we're going to have 100,000 startups by 2020, 2025, and they will get $500 billion of value. Every year, 5 to 6 are coming up. Look at this, 20 unicorns already. By 2025, we'll have 50 unicorns. Lot of money. Sadly, 90% owned by foreigners. When India opened up, IT industry came, Indians did it. In the second phase, telecom came, Jio has done it. In the third phase, infrastructure came, crony capitalists robbed the banks, they're going to jail now. In the fourth, we have the digitization, we have become a digital colony. Twitter owns India, Facebook owns India, Google owns India. And these years where we have to invest from India, we have to own these companies. 65% of funding into startups in China goes from Chinese capital. There are some of those companies in B2B, there's some very good funds coming to India. So what will the future of startups look like? What will India look like in future? is digitizing pretty fast. Whole of India, everybody in the street. India has 1.2 billion phones, 900 million mobile connections to individuals, 450 million smartphones, and everybody is doing it. This is all going on the base of what is called the India Stack. A group of volunteers in India created the biggest innovation in the world called the India Stack. And the India Stack has a consent layer, a cashless layer, paperless layer. Aadhaar has got 1.2 billion people on it. It's an identity, it's very safe, it works very well. We have got 1.2 billion bank accounts, 1.2 billion mobile connections. Magic is happening in India. Today in India, you can transfer money from one account to another in 30 seconds without cost. Try doing it in America. You do it in the mobile. Try in America. You can get the speed drive. And of course, this has taken many years, but this has been done by volunteers in Bangalore under Nanda. This is an extraordinary achievement. No country has been able to do that in many years. Look at this, Aadhaar, how it is scaled up. Many smart devices. Now a lot of small companies are building AI and ML products based on the India Stack. Now the same group is building a medical stack, like the India Stack for the 500 million people. So data of 500 million is going to be a public utility. It's going to be controlled by an authority. So our data will not be with Twitter, will not be with Google, will not be with Facebook. It will be protected in India. Indian law will apply. We rather have Delhi snoopers than have Trump and NSA troopers. Because in Delhi, we can go to court and protect ourselves. If our data is in America, NSA scoops on it, we can't protect ourselves. We have no rights. We are non-resident aliens. Correct word. So we must have data in our own country. What has been the benefit of the India Stack? It is to open a bank account is come down from 6 days to 1 hour. To open an asset management account is come down from 4 hours to 2 minutes. To telecom connection is come down from 1 day to 4 minutes. And smartphones have gone up rapidly. Look at this. Look at this slide. We have 481 million internet connections. Cloud storage cost has come down. Geo has gone up to 250 million in 8 quarters, never done before. So India is going to be data rich from data poor. I'm finishing, but this is not working, so you've got to give me some time. So to increase market size, to increase market size, we must make sure that we create electronic platforms. The trade markets are creating platforms. Today, by putting a thumbprint, many portals will get all the data and give you loans in 30 minutes. $1 billion has come into the market, but these are all young engineers. They not learn. You give money, you've got to get it back. If you're not getting back, that's a different story. But there are new age platforms that are coming up. New age platforms, you can see these new age platforms. Ola is digitizing. Ola has created 800,000 jobs in the last 5 years. Jobs are being created by digital platforms now. You can see this. So, we have a robust foundation to enable innovative solutions. And the last slide. Bharat is optimizing to empower problem solvers. Let me tell you one thing. We have problems. We don't have money. But we work hard. We work our butts off. We suffer a lot. We have bad infrastructure. We spend time in traffic. But we build this country. And we're going to build this country. I want to tell many of you, we all stayed back and fought the battle. We worked for peanuts. We stayed back. We fought the battle. We built our country. Give a little bit of credit those of us who stayed behind. Every time I come to America, I go out, people preach to us. You're bad, you're this and that. Yes, we're bad. We are poor. We are filthy. Abusers, no issues. We'll build our country. We're going to last longer than everybody.
sure they got my profile right this time. Otherwise, I would have had to request Mr. Bachchan to tweet probably. So, Jai Hanuman Ji. It's such an humbling experience to be standing here. I would like to thank the organizers, Professor Kothari, to have me here. But just to have a right interaction, probably part of my speaking, I would like to do in Hindi because that's the language that connects us. So मैं आपका संबोधन आप हिंदी में शुरू करूँगा। भारत हमारी जन्मभूमि, हमारी कर्मभूमि, जिसके गौरवशाली इतिहास को शायद हम अपने पूरे जीवन काल में भी नहीं बता सकते। इसीलिए उसके वर्णन के लिए शुरुआत हम उसके वंदन के साथ करेंगे। भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय! थैंक यू। आप सब लोगों को पता है आज की डेट में इकोनॉमिक ट्रेंड्स, इकोनॉमिक ग्राफ्स और इतनी सारी चीजें जो इकोनॉमी के बारे में बताई जाती है, उस सब की शुरुआत कहां से हुई थी? जानते हैं आप लोग? कोई बताएगा? भारत, हमारे गौरवशाली भारत के इतिहास से अगर आप देखें अर्थशास्त्र, जो कौटिल्य ने आज से कई हजार वर्ष पहले लिखित रूप में, प्रमाणित रूप में विश्व भर को दिया, वो कहीं खो गया क्योंकि पिछले 1000 सालों में जो फॉरेन इन्वेजन हुई, जो अंग्रेजों का राज रहा, उसमें वो अर्थशास्त्र खो गया जिसमें अच्छी तरह से वर्णन किया गया है कि देश को, उसकी अर्थव्यवस्था को किस तरह से चलाया जाए, किस तरह से रखा जाए, और इसके साथ उसकी पॉलिटिकल मैनेजमेंट को भी बहुत अच्छे से बताया गया है उस अर्थशास्त्र के अंदर। इनफैक्ट अहमदाबाद के प्रोफेसर सतीश है जिन्होंने इस पे एक पेपर भी जारी किया जिसमें लिखा गया, बताया गया, वर्णन किया गया कि किस तरह अर्थशास्त्र के दौरान भारतवर्ष पूरे विश्व में रूल करता था, चाहे वो इकोनॉमिक ट्रांजैक्शंस है, ट्रेड है, कॉमर्स है, सब चीज के अंदर। और शायद एक बात हम लोग नहीं जानते कि अर्थशास्त्र हमारे वेदों से प्रभावित है और वेदों द्वारा इसको पूरी जो नॉलेज मिली है, जहां से उन्होंने इसको विकसित करके एक अर्थशास्त्र के रूप में इस देश को दिया, वो वेदों से ही मिली है। जैसे कि मुझे लग रहा है बहुत सारे यहाँ पर यंग इंडियंस हैं जिनको शायद थोड़ा सा हिंदी भाषा के साथ कठिनाई हो रही है समझने में, तो मे बी आई वुड लाइक टू स्विच टू द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द जनरेशन व्हिच इज इंग्लिश। तो अर्थशास्त्र मेरे ख्याल से आप लोग समझते होंगे अर्थशास्त्र का इंग्लिश मतलब क्या है? ग्रेट। So I have been able to convey at least part of what I wanted to convey to all of you. Probably most of us, we don't know. The reason why I'm starting historically is, and coming back to what are the opportunities that we have in the current time, is to give it a context as to where we were, where we gradually moved and where we have to go finally. So it's a journey that I'll be talking about, and that's the reason I'm taking the historical context in this. In 300 BC, when the Arthashastra was written, they were talking about compound interest, which the Western world did not know till a few hundred years back. Kautilya spoke about the interest rate, risk, and the uncertainties of business and the relationship between them. We did not know about it till so many years back. He talks about how poverty is a bad state and how the state must take action to ensure that the people and its subjects have the right opportunities to get out of poverty and be prosperous. Now this is the historical context of our glorious past. Let us talk about the economic growth in the last few decades or maybe a century or more. If you see, this is my view. the way the economy has grown, it has gone from a solid state to a liquid state to a gas state. Now you would be wondering, why am I mentioning the states of matter in economy? Well, I'm going to explain that. When we had the industrial revolution initially, if we all see, the big industries, the iron ore, the coal, the engineering, heavy industry, that dominated the economic scene. That's the solid state of industrialization or the economic growth. What came next? We had petroleum, we had hydroelectricity, we had guns, pistols, pharmaceuticals, and lot of FMCG products which came in. That was the liquid state of industrialization or the economic growth of the world. What do we have now? It's all in the air. The data, the cloud, the services, the technology. We don't see it, but we use it, we feel it. And that's the growth stage that we are looking at. That's the new area of opportunities which will come along for the global economy. And more so for our glorious country, Bharat. As we have seen in the last few years, the youngsters, as we've heard him talk about the startups which have come up, they have come up and they have done well, not because of the government, but despite the government. And now we have a government which is really promoting it. So there's a huge change in the whole environment. As I speak, I would like to highlight the fact, globally, the big organizations in technology, let it be Google, let it be Microsoft, even in investment like Berkshire, is all being led by Indians. What we need to do in the times to come, they should be owned by the Indians. Like what Ola is doing, they're giving competition today to Uber in the Western world. They've come to Europe and they'll probably be soon coming to US. We've seen Paytm, which has come up, and it's going to give competition to PayPal in US very soon, and that's going to come. A few months back, Mr. Nanda was talking about not just 10 companies creating 1,000 jobs, but 1 million companies creating one extra job, which is going to cause the difference in the whole ecosystem. Now, adding to that, I would say the two formative things that is going to make the change in the time to come is entrepreneurship and technology. So we need to have 1 million entrepreneurs creating those 100 jobs every year. And that's what our Bharat is capable of doing. So I would just like to ask a simple question here. How many of us do read a newspaper? Okay, maybe I'll correct e-newspaper also. Okay. So Chrysler, they said India is going to grow at around 7%. What has been the last quarter or the first quarter of 2018, the growth rate that we've achieved?
8.2.
Wonderful. 8.2%. And that's not the end of it. What we have to look at is a double-digit growth rate. And that's the growth rate we are capable of achieving. And this is where I would like to say, detecting new growth opportunities as they emerge is the key to securing a competitive edge in fast expanding markets. But how do you forecast where the next rate of growth will occur from? Most marketing analysts, they rely on traditional macroeconomic data like population trends, urbanization ratios, purchasing power parity, etc., etc. While this can be effective in a slow-moving market, but not in a dynamic market which is moving fast and which is growing fast like India. So there is a good news. we have the opportunity to double our GDP in the next 7 to 10 years and change one big perception which I would like to highlight here, which has always been weighing very hard on my heart. You all would have seen, but first, before that, I would like to highlight one particular point, that how we are growing. Although Asian Development Bank has projected India to grow one of the fastest economy, but this is because of the various initiatives which have been taken. Like we've just heard him say, it is the young entrepreneurs of India which are bringing about the change. How do they do that? There's the Mudra Yojana, started by Prime Minister Modi, which says you get 50,000 to 1 crore without any collateral and you can start a new business. Now when you get the money to start a new business, what do you do next? Startup India. That eases the way you do business today. That makes sure that you have all the red tapeism taken care of so that your new startup can progress. What next? Once the startup is there, the money is there. We need people to work for us. Skill India. And that's where Skill India comes, with skilled manpower to ensure that we have the right manpower to help grow the economy, to help grow those entrepreneurs who's taking the initiative to start a new company and work for the country. Fourth, most important, war against corruption. Because all of these three would not work if there is corruption in the economy. So, there is a big war against corruption which is happening, and that's what bringing about the change. Bringing about the right environment for these entrepreneurs to take initiative and work for the welfare of the country and the welfare of their people living there. We've always talked about the growth rate. There is one term which has always stick with us as Bharat. And that's something which always weighs very heavily on my heart. What is that term? It has been very derogatorily used for many number of years since our independence. Hindu rate of growth, the slow and the low growth of rate between 3% to 3.8% that we have done in the decades between 1950 to 1990, and they call it the Hindu rate of growth. That's not the Hindu rate of growth. The Hindu rate of growth is a double-digit growth rate which we are going to achieve in the next decade. We have shown to the world in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, and we are going to show it in the next 70 years when we take the position and the place that rightfully belongs to us, which we held for last 1,000 years or more, right at the top. And that's going to be the Hindu rate of growth. And I would like to take a pledge, and I would like all of you to take a pledge to clear this misconception that we have currently in the world, which talks about Hindu rate of growth as the slow rate of growth. Exactly. That's not given by Professor Raj Krishna, the socialist, who coined the term Hindu rate of growth. And that's what we have to change the perception. It's been said and spoken so widely in so many news and articles. That's what we have to take a pledge to change the perception of being called the slow rate of growth. And to end, I would lastly, but to end the words I would like to say, Dharmasya Moolam Artham, which means Dharam ke bagair desh ki arth vyavastha sambhav nahi hai. And that's why we all are here today.
The question that we have heard, some of the most stirring, most exciting speeches here today. All three of them in different ways. I think I played the card really well. I said at the outset, I will say a few words because I know, I just want to be a fly on the wall when these eminent speakers are there, not only giving you some substantive content, but also entertainment and encouragement. So I want to thank all three of you for that. There's no question that all three talks are very well intentioned, constructive. And Mukesh says that, well, if we go at the current trajectory, then it would be a good outcome, but not a great outcome. Whereas Mohandas as well as Nikhil, they are far more optimistic about it. And perhaps that's the place where we can have a little bit of conversation here as to, and let me ask either Mohandas or Nikhil that you have quoted numbers and you have quoted some recent trends and both. But how do you explain the difference between your optimism and enthusiasm and perhaps what we read? Is it that the press or some of the economists or others who talk about it, are they all getting it wrong? Or, I mean, that would be helpful. Also from the standpoint of, because policymakers, they would be listening. If nothing has to be changed, well, they will say, okay, we will go along that. But the stakes are really high in that case. And that's why I pose this question to you, because you clearly have thought through. And I do admire those who have stayed within India, and I do want to give a round of applause. Genuinely, it says a lot about, because clearly you had opportunities, but you chose to stay back, and that is admirable. But going
so let me explain. What I given you is data. You can verify it. I can give you the sources. This is real data. What we read in the media is opinion without data. The Indians and experts are finding holes. And they're finding holes. But are we a poor country? Yes, we are a poor country. Per capita income is $2,000. We are poor. We are 1 billion people living on less than $2 a day. We have many conflicts. We have many things in need. We have lousy infrastructure. Power doesn't go to every house. Many people starve. They can't eat. They have no money. Many people die because they can't buy medicine. But we're improving. Look at where we started, look at where we are. We are improving. Every year we are improving. It takes time to change a country of 1.3 billion people. Which country has changed so fast except China? We have to learn from China. China did many things right. They've grown faster than us. But there the Chinese government liberate their labor by not paying them enough and use a mercantilist policy to create surplus for the state with the put into infrastructure. Yes, they did it. I'm not blaming democracy or anything else. They followed a path, but they opened up in 1978. Now you are comparing a China which has opened up in 1978, India which opened up in 1991. Between 1900 to 1947, India grew at 0.5% a year. We are supposed to become the factory of the world in 1900. But in 1857 and 1930, the British took away $400 billion of money in 1930 terms. Read the book, The Case for India by Will Durant. We were looted. Yes, our intelligence goes there and praises them and still counters with them and all that. That's good news. That's a part. They're having severe challenges elsewhere. I'm not blaming anybody. All I'm saying is, be realistic. India was here, we have gone far ahead. Could we have done better? Yes, we could have grown 2% more. What held us back? What held us back was bad socialistic policies from 1950 till maybe 1980. Rajiv Gandhi opened up. He did it. We got to give him credit. In 1980, 1990, India grew at 5.5%. Till then, we grew badly because we had a Fabian, person who studied Fabian economics and who had contempt for private capital. India was the freest markets in the world, free market economy from the dawn of civilization to 1947. Then we shut shop in 1950 because of Nehru. Was it bad policy? It is good to have the state, good to do all that, but you should suppress private capital. I want private capital also to come up, but they suppressed it. This capital depression. And that's the reason. You build the public sector, you build the plants. We have only 5 IITs. 5 IITs for 400 million people is a joke. You know, UK has 100 universities. We should have 100 IITs. People say, oh, we don't have faculty, 100 universities, what is that quality will go? What quality will go down? Today in the IITs, all of you came from IITs, you're very bright people. Top 0.001% of India. You would have succeeded anywhere. Narendra Modi said, my son didn't get into IIT, he went to computer science. He's a very bright boy. Why? Because they don't have capacity. You can't have one good institution for 1.1 billion people. You can't do all that. We stood up. Now we are opening up. It takes time. How to reconcile so many lobbies? We have a caste lobby, we have a religious lobby, we have a farmers lobby, we have a left lobby, we have an industrial lobby, we have a crony capital lobby. Democracy system of content lobbies. Everybody lobbies. You got to get something. And then in Delhi we had one family ruling us which ruined us. My last point, I'm not demeaning anybody, but I don't like being abused. I don't like being preached to everywhere. I have come to the end of the line. I've faced this for 20 years. 20 years, I've been going meeting investors for Infosys. 20 years, I've been abused by everybody, abused my country. I'm not going to take up anymore. We have built this country. Lot of problems. We are poor. We have to do better. We'll do much better. We don't have solutions. We need answers from you. We want you to come back and help build the country. Stay in India. Build the country. The world's largest midday meal program, Akshay Patra. We feed 1.7 million children a hot unlimited meal every single day. Every single day. We raise money from India. We get $2 or $3 million from the US. We do it. We spend all our money for the welfare of people of this country. All our money. We do. So much is being done in this country. Tell us some solutions. Come and work and make it happen. Because, you know, Arvind Pandit had come, I met him and all, very good, I like him. But you know, solutions are there when you sit and fight the battle. Raghuram Rajan came and he went away 3 years, yes. Man, you got to be there. So please help us. Please do it.
Okay? Use the other one.
Can you hear me? So it's not a question of being pessimist or optimist, frankly. I think it's the question is, are we looking at it from the perspective of where we are? If we don't know where we need to be and where we are, we will feel good, right? But this is not what we are here for. We are here to have a serious discussion of what do we need to do. It's not a question of preaching of whether somebody lives in India or somebody lives here. Where does data live today? If I'm a software engineer and I'm working in India, I'm working here, where am I living? What am I doing? If living in India was the sole criteria, let me remind everybody here that Mahatma Gandhi was an NRI, so was Jawaharlal Nehru, and the list is long. They lived outside India by the current definition of more than a year. Well, get converted. Subhash Chandra Bose, last I checked, actually formed his entire army using NRIs. And that led to where we are today. So let's not abuse each other by calling ourselves, are we non-resident or non-required? The fact is that Infosys couldn't have survived for a day unless it was a contract actually coming out of the United States. So we complement each other, spot on, we collaborate, we work that in our hearts we are still, we worship Mother India. Maybe sons and daughters of, still Mother India, we may live in different country, but it doesn't matter. There's a World Hindu Congress, we are together, we want to do it together. Nobody's trying to abuse anybody. Nobody's trying to preach anybody here. What we are trying to get to the bottom line to say where we are, where we need to be, so that we can march with the appropriate speed and perfect what we need to do. It's very good, look, it's very easy to feel good. I can produce as much data as you want. If we have 1.3 billion people and if you ask me who consumes the highest number of undergarments in the world, we'll be number one. Is that data? Is that really data? I mean, the data I want to see is what's all our capita income. Now, if we keep saying that, hey, we are here, we have made a great progress, we have made meaningful progress. Let's not delude ourselves. If we have to make great progress, why is 70% of the population still poor? So if we live in a comfortable environment, we are sitting in a fancy room, we enjoy it, we can talk about it, it will take time. But this person who doesn't have money, doesn't have time, who has 3 months to live and need medication doesn't have time. So we got to be more sensitive to that need, and all I'm trying to say is, how do we actually move that forward in 10 years and get rid of that poverty as opposed to 30, 40, 50, or another, God forbid, 70 years. Modi ji is not going to be around all this time, right? But I really hope he's the first man of change who has brought this change, and I hope he gets at least 2 terms, if not more, and I wish for the long. Thank you so much. We are all in it together. We all are in it together. We got to make the difference together.
Just one line I would like to add, just one line, what Mani Mohan Bhagwat ji said yesterday. We have to work together separately. That's what is required. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And you know, great that you could come all the way. Mukesh, you also came from Boston. Thank you. And Nikhil from New Delhi. I really appreciate it. Thank you for most insightful comments. Thank you, the audience.